If someone were to ask me what my favorite all-time video game console is, I'd have to say it's the original Nintendo Entertainment System. The game library was incredible and covered almost every genre out there. We had traditional platformers, sports games, side-scrolling beat-em-ups, puzzle games, games based on movies, and whatever this is. In fact, many popular franchises that made their first appearance on the NES are still cranking out titles to this very day. Sure, the system had its share of stinkers, and a lot of times gamers had to blow into cartridges to get them to work, but the Nintendo Entertainment System was a great introduction to the world of console gaming for many players of a certain age. On this special episode of Rob's Arcade, I'm going to show you my top 5 favorite NES games. As a fan of the classic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon, I was blown away when I saw the original 4-player arcade game. This game captured everything I loved about the animated series it was based on, and I can't tell you how many quarters I shoved into this thing as a kid. Unfortunately, the only way to play this game back in the day was in the arcade, as it wasn't available on any home consoles. When my father saw how much I loved this game, he surprised me one day by bringing home the first Ninja Turtles cartridge for the NES. I was overjoyed at first, but my excitement soon turned into confusion as I was expecting a translation of the arcade game and got something entirely different instead. While not necessarily a bad game, it was just a huge disappointment. The side-scrolling beat-em-up gameplay that I loved so much in the arcade was replaced by light platforming and insanely difficult underwater levels. Only a few of my favorite villains from the series made appearances, and most of the time the Turtles battled generic adversaries that appeared to belong in other games. Konami and Ultra Games must have seen how disappointed Turtles fans were with their first adventure on the NES, so in 1990, they released Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game. My father bought me this game as a surprise as well, and I was blown away as soon as I popped the cartridge in. Sure, a few sacrifices had to be made graphically due to the limitations of the NES hardware, and the number of players that can play simultaneously had been reduced from 4 to 2, but this game captured everything I loved about the original arcade game. And then some. Players choose their favorite Ninja Turtle and battle through waves of the Shredder's minions in 10 levels of side-scrolling beat-em-up action. The original arcade game had 8 levels, so the programmers added 2 extra levels to this already fantastic game. The first additional level features the Turtles battling the alien bounty hunter Tora in a snowy Central Park, and the second has the Turtles taking on the robotic samurai known as Shogun. These extra stages are a lot of fun and extend the length of this title considerably. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game, was also the first title I've seen with product placement, as it seems like every sign or billboard is an ad for Pizza Hut. The back of the instruction manual even had a coupon for a free personal pan pizza, so not only were players treated to a fantastic translation of an arcade classic, they also got free pizza to boot. This game also holds the number 5 spot on this list for not only being an awesome game, but for my personal connection to it, as every time I press start on the controller it takes me back to that day over 30 years ago, and the pure, unadulterated joy I felt when my father surprised me by bringing this title home. Love you, Dad. Cowabunga. My first exposure to Mega Man wasn't via a video game, it was actually from a Saturday morning cartoon. Captain N the Game Master was an animated series about a teenager named Kevin who, along with his dog Duke, is sucked into the video game world and must battle the forces of the evil Mother Brain. Kevin wasn't alone in his adventures, as he was assisted by some of the most popular video game characters of the time period. One of these characters was Mega Man, who was quite a bit different from the one we all know and love. First of all, he looked nothing like his video game counterpart, as the Blue Bomber had a completely different color scheme and appearance. Also, the little guy had the habit of adding the prefix Mega to everything. Happy became Mega Happy, sad became Mega Sad, and so on and so forth. I'll admit, this got a little annoying, but I was still curious about the world that this little robot warrior inhabited. Blockbuster Video used to rent out video games as well as video cassettes, so when I saw this game on the shelf, I begged my parents to rent it for me. Honestly, the box art was terrible, and Mega Man looked nothing like the character from the cartoon or the actual game, but once I booted up the cartridge, none of that mattered. I absolutely loved this game. The graphics, music, and gameplay were incredible, and I managed to complete this game before we had to return it to the video store. When the sequel came out 2 years later and I actually got my hands on it, I was blown away as this game took everything I loved about the first one and made it bigger and better. In this amazing action platformer, players must battle their way through 8 stages, each one ending in a boss battle with one of Dr. Wily's henchmen. Upon defeating the end-of-stage bosses, their signature weapon becomes available to Mega Man. Some of these bosses take more damage from certain weapons, so choosing the proper order and playing the levels is key. After defeating all 8 of Dr. Wily's robots, Mega Man must fight his way through Dr. Wily's castle to take on the man himself. The audio, visuals, and gameplay are a vast improvement over the original NES title, and some of the elements introduced in this game are still used in Mega Man games to this very day. Mega Man 2 is also the highest selling game in the series, selling more than 1.5 million copies worldwide. This game is classic 8-bit platforming action at its best, and in my opinion it still holds up today as the Blue Bomber's greatest adventure ever. If you've never played this game, I strongly suggest you check it out. You won't be disappointed. I spent quite a bit of time in my formative years watching pro wrestling and Rocky movies. I always loved seeing an underdog hero triumph over adversity, and Rocky Balboa is the ultimate underdog. My mother laughs at me to this very day because when she took me to the movie theater to see Rocky 3, I was so into it I was yelling at the screen. WWF champion Hulk Hogan fought Rocky in this film as well, which was awesome for me to see as I was a huge pro wrestling fan. I love the larger-than-life characters portrayed by the superstars of the WWF, so when a friend of mine told me about a game that was like Rocky, fighting a bunch of WWF superstars, I couldn't wait to check it out. That game was Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! Released by Nintendo in 1987, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! Is a boxing game in which players control the amateur boxer known as Little Mac as he battles his way through the boxing circuit to eventually reach the goal of challenging the champ Mike Tyson. With the help of his trainer Doc Lewis, players must take on a variety of larger opponents, each with their own individual styles and movesets. Little Mac is no slouch himself as he can defensively block or dodge his opponent's powerful attacks, or offensively strike his opponents with a series of headshots and body blows. If he strikes an opponent at the right time, a star will flash above his head, giving Mac the ability to unleash a powerful uppercut. There are 3 ways to win a fight in this game. One is by knocking out your opponent. Another is by TKO, which stands for Technical Knockout. A TKO occurs when Little Mac knocks down his opponent 3 times in one round. The third way is by decision, in which Little Mac must accumulate a higher point total than his opponent by landing more punches and knockdowns, and a very familiar looking referee announces the winner at the end of the 3rd round. Every one of Little Mac's opponents has their own distinct fighting style, and learning how these characters move is key to defeating them. Each boxer has a tell, which is a sign or movement that shows a player when he's about to strike. Learning these movements and how to counter them is key to achieving victory. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! Is a true classic. The innovative gameplay and large, colorful graphics absolutely blew my mind as a kid, and I think this game is just as fun to play today as it was 35 years ago. If you've never played this amazing title, I highly recommend giving this game a shot. I've been playing video games featuring Mario for as long as I can remember. Donkey Kong was huge when I was young, and I pretty much begged my parents for quarters every time we came across an arcade cabinet. My mother and I used to play the original Mario Brothers game, and Super Mario Brothers was the first cartridge I ever popped into my NES. I loved everything about that game, so when they announced a sequel I was elated. Unfortunately for me, Super Mario Bros. 2 went a different direction. The brick smashing and fire flowers were replaced by vegetable picking and radish throwing. Now don't get me wrong, Super Mario Bros. 2 was a great game, it just wasn't exactly what I was looking for in a sequel. I wanted more of the things I loved about the original Super Mario Bros. Game. My wish was granted when Super Mario Bros. 3 hit store shelves, and then some. In Super Mario Bros. 3, players control either Mario or Luigi, who must not only rescue Princess Toadstool, but also the rulers of 7 different kingdoms from the evil Bowser. Just like the original Super Mario Bros., players defeat enemies by either stomping on them or using items that give the player special abilities. My favorite of these items is the Super Leaf, which gives Mario or Luigi access to the Tanuki suit. This suit not only makes the player look like they're wearing raccoon pajamas, it also gives them the ability to fly, float, and whack enemies and blocks with their tail. Along with the Tanuki suit, Super Mario Bros. 3 introduced quite a few other elements that are still used in Mario games to this very day, such as the overhead world map and the mini-games. These mini-games reward the player with items and extra lives to help the brothers on their quest. Super Mario Bros. 3 took the Mario Brothers back to their roots while also expanding on them in every way imaginable, and after all of this time, it's still a fun game to play. If you've never played this true classic, I strongly suggest getting your hands on it, as not only is it one of the best games on the NES, it also makes a strong showing as one of the greatest games of all time. I've spoken in depth about my love for this game in a previous video, so my number one pick shouldn't be a surprise for regular viewers of this channel. It's Contra. This game was as close as you can get to being a part of an 80s sci-fi action movie at the time of its original release. In this awesome side-scrolling platformer, the evil Red Falcon organization is plotting to wipe out humanity, and only an elite Special Forces commando unit can stop them. Players control guerrilla fighters Bill Riser or Lance Bean as they travel deep into the Amazon jungle to destroy the evil alien forces before they take over the world. Our heroes have access to a multitude of weapons such as rapid-fire machine guns, lasers, and the almighty spread gun, which fires 5 individual bullets in a variety of directions. Bill and Lance are going to need every weapon at their disposal to face a relentless onslaught of enemy soldiers before taking on the Red Falcon's finest in spectacular end-of-stage boss battles. Players don't have a life meter, so it's pretty much one hit and that's a wrap, but the good news is that programmers of this game threw in a little Easter egg to help you on your mission. By going to the title screen and inputting up, up, down, down, left, right, B, A, and start, players are rewarded with 30 lives to start the game. This is the infamous Konami code, which has made appearances in a multitude of other games as well as in other media. Being able to start the game with 30 lives definitely helps, but one of my favorite things about this game is the ability to grab a friend for 2-player simultaneous action. I loved playing Contra with friends as a kid, and even as an adult I grab a partner and fire this game up every now and then. The gameplay still holds up after all of these years, and the presentation takes me back to the days of going to the video store and picking out action movies to watch with my parents. It's like Konami decided to see what would happen if they combined Rambo, Predator, and James Cameron's Aliens, and I'll tell you what, the end result is awesome. So grab a friend and check this game out if you get the opportunity. You won't be disappointed.